Welcome back to Slingshot Disc Golf. Today we're talking about the off arm. You're going to want to stay till the end of the video because I am going to be analyzing Paul Mcbeth's form from last year's World Championships. I've seen a lot of random comments out there that Paul Mcbeth did not use his off arm at Worlds last year. So we're going to take a look at that and see if there's any truth to that. But before we do that, I'm going to talk about the off arm and how it applies to the slingshot method, which is obviously based off Mcbeth, but it's also what I do as well. Now I'm going to make two videos on this, so we're only going to be talking about one aspect of it. This plays off the slingshot move, slingshot coil video that I made. I'll leave a link in the description if you haven't seen that. But the slingshot move, or in baseball called the forward move, you get on the back leg, you coil into this hip, you coil into this leg, loading it. So you're coiling that way against it while your momentum is going that way. The faster you go, it's harder to coil up against that leg because you have that momentum going that way. When we look at Paul Mcbeth, we know the arm waves this way, we know the arm waves back. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the wave that way first. The next off arm video I'm going to make will go more in detail about the wave back. You can slingshot a disc without the off arm. You can. I can do it. I could probably throw 400 feet without the off arm. Throwing the off arm behind my back. In those two examples, I coiled against that leg while X-stepping. But when I did that, I made it harder on myself by not using the off arm. So if I go, my momentum's going that way, and then I balance and I need to coil against this leg, when you wave the off arm at that time, that off arm has a little momentum and it helps you coil against that leg. So you really have offsetting momentums here. It's so much easier to go like that. When I go like that, it helps me coil against that leg. It makes it way more effortless. The easiest way to test this out for yourself is a one step. Keep that off arm to the side, coil in, and now add the off arm like that. And when you do the X step and you add that momentum, it really gives you the edge in terms of getting to that position. Once you understand the slingshot move, the slingshot coil, that's pretty easy to do. I guess it's a simple video. From this side, it'll look like this. Right? I can sling the disc, I can coil, I can do all those things without the off arm. But in sports, there's always a way to take things to another level. So much easier. In the slingshot method, that off arm is helping you drive rotation. That's what the next video is going to be about, because I need to go more in depth about rotation, because there is absolutely two different ways to rotate. There's a lot of confusion on that, so my next video will clear that up. So here's Paul at Worlds last year. He did start keeping this arm stiff during the approach, and I'm going to talk about that right after I show this breakdown. But let's address the question, did Paul Mcbeth not use his off arm? When it came down to the functionality of it, he made zero changes. Here's the second angle. I can make the argument he's using it more here than he is here. Paul Mcbeth uses his off arm exactly the same as he always has. And that's why he's a 6-time, about to be 7-time GOAT. But he did make a change, obviously. He held it stiff right here before he got to this position. Once he got to this position, he's not going to be able to functionally do his form without using the off arm. So why did Paul hold his arm like that before he did his absolute same normal form? Well, I think at the highest level, athletes do whatever it takes to get the job done, especially from a psychological perspective. I don't know if you've seen that Netflix show Quarterbacks, but Patrick Mahomes hurts his ankle and he psychs himself out, telling himself that he's not injured, basically. Athletes at the highest level will play mind games with themselves. You see it in the Michael Jordan documentary as well. I think Paul Mcbeth held his arm here to minimize some movement, to give himself a placebo effect, to help him be more controlled. But when it came down to the actual movement, Paul did not change his form whatsoever. You don't need the off arm to drive rotation. Most pros don't really even use the off arm. But there's always a higher level, and that's why we all love Mcbeth, because he's on another level. And one of the biggest reasons you love Mcbeth is because he's poetry in motion and he looks cool. You wanna know why he looks cool? Because of where his off arm goes. Slingshots for everybody.
Wow.